was born in New Albany, August 13th, 1996. Grew up here, playing upward basketball, playing Little League sports at the New Albany Sportsplex. I was here until about fifth grade. My mom, she got married, and I moved to Pontotoc, Mississippi, and I was there from fifth grade until I graduated. And a lot of people were like, you're not from Pontotoc, you're from New Albany. And I just let them argue it. But I did spend more time in Pontotoc than I did New Albany. But New Albany will always be a home to me. That's where my family is. And, I still to this day come back to New Albany a lot. So I guess you can say I'm from both. My granddad, Rayfield Cameron, he's a pastor here at the Church of the Now, Church of God in Christ on Oak Street in New Albany. My grandmother, Annette Cameron, she's the first lady. She was a bail bondsman here for for the longest. I'm sure a lot of people know her. My mother, Rakesha Vaughn, she's a gospel recording artist. She works at New Albany High School, right up the road. So my family's pretty big. I have a lot of family here, and they're all over New Albany. A lot of people are, you're a preacher's kid, but I didn't look at it like that. I always looked at my grandfather as if he were, my hero, a mentor, someone who's always, done things the right way, never seen him do anything wrong. And I think as a man, that's the perfect, guy to follow and to follow in his footsteps.
Well, do you ever feel like you blend the two things together?
I always blend it. When I'm in sports, I always give God, the glory and the honor, whenever I accomplish anything, because without him, I feel like I wouldn't even be in this position to do the things that I'm doing. So, of course, I'll always, bring those two and combine those two.
Do you feel like as a professional athlete who, does have a strong connection to God and your faith, that helps you influence younger people in a good way?
I feel like it does, especially, being in the South. We're in the Bible Belt. And so, I try to keep those, those same values. I try to keep the same values, wherever I go, whether I'm up north or on the West Coast. And, it's different in different places, but no matter what, I always hold the same values and the same morals as far as, keeping that with me wherever I go.
How is music a part of your life?
Music is everything. I listen to so many different genres, but my mom being a gospel singer, my whole family has an ear for music, so that's just another plus. My whole family sings. I don't sing. I can play the drums. I play instruments a little bit. I play drums in church, but music is a big part of my life. No matter the genre, who it is, like I have to have music almost in everything that I do. I take music with me. At an early age, that's all I knew. My mom put me in every sport in New Albany, baseball, basketball. I didn't even play football growing up, but playing upward basketball in New Albany, I thought it was the NBA Finals. I was out there in my headband, had my armbands on, and I just took it so serious. Like, you'd have those kids that didn't care, that are running around, I don't want to be here, and their parents made them play, but I was the guy that was out there with my headband on, game face on, and no matter what, they weren't even keeping score, I don't think, but I always was keeping score in the back of my mind, because I was there to win. I wasn't there to make friends. I know upward basketball was about, tying in, Christian values and basketball, but as a little kid, I was out there to win and to destroy whoever was in front of me. I was taking over, and then if I felt someone else didn't care that was on my team, instead, now you can take leadership and tell players to snap into it. But as a kid, I just go take the ball from them or just not even pass it to them anymore, because I wanted to win that bad. So I've always just been a competitive person. My mom didn't play sports. My dad didn't play sports. My mom, she said that she was good. She just had stage fright, so she didn't play. But my uncle, Lawrence Cameron, he went to New Albany, and he was an all-state athlete. Cedric Lipsy, he was a great athlete in New Albany. Jocelyn Cameron, she played softball. There's a lot of athletes in my family. Jarrell Lipsy, I played against him in high school, but we're close cousins, and so I just feel like it's all over my family. Almost every cousin that I grew up with played sports in some matter, whether they liked it or not. They played it because in my family that's what we're known for, is being athletic or playing music. So actually, when my mom married my stepdad, Michael Vaughn, she told me I could stay at New Albany and I could come home on the weekends. And she was just, I think after a month went by, she was thinking, he's never gonna have a relationship with his stepdad and things like that. So finally, they moved me to North Pontotoc, and boy, I was I was so mad, because all I knew was maroon and white New Albany, like. That's all I knew growing up. And I got to North Pontotoc and new kids, and I didn't know anyone there, and I got there and I made friends pretty fast. And just being there, it'd be days I'd be sitting in class and I'm like, I can't believe I'm here. And I just sit and I'd be quiet in class and I'm like, what's wrong? I'm just like, nothing. Like, in reality, I just miss New Albany. And I think 6th grade came around and I was in the gym shooting, and the coaches, they found me in there just shooting the ball, and they're like, what grade are you in? I was 6th grade, and next thing I know, I was in 6th grade practicing with the 8th grade boys basketball team, just getting shots up, just the coaches pretty much wanted to see how I, adapted to playing with older kids, which I've always played older age groups in sports like that, but the coaches found me then, and after that, once I realized, I could still play sports and do what I wanted to do, athletically, then I didn't really care where I was at that point. By 6th, 7th grade, I was comfortable at North Pontotoc. I wasn't even thinking about going back to New Albany, and this was before my mom even got the job at New Albany High School. And then when she got the job at New Albany High School my sophomore year, that's when everyone was like, man, come back to New Albany for your last 3 years. And by that time, I had fallen in love with North Pontotoc, so there was no need in me leaving, even though my mom had went back to New Albany. I started high school basketball as an 8th grader. I played 1 year of junior high basketball, and then in 8th grade, I got moved to playing junior varsity in high school, and I worked my way up into playing varsity as an 8th grader. But that's where it all began. In 8th grade, you're the 8th grader in playing high school sports. It'd be game day for the high school, but in middle school, it might not be a game day. So I'd be the only guy in the middle school wearing a suit and tie, because we had to wear that for game day in high school. So I'd be the only person in middle school walking around with a shirt and tie on. They'd be wondering, like, why is he? And that's when a lot of people figured out I was playing, high school sports. But I enjoyed it because, I had my 4 years of eligibility didn't start until I got to 9th grade. So my 8th grade year was really just a extra year. I got to, get better as a high school athlete. But I didn't really play junior high football either. I played 1 year of that, and then in 9th grade, I just locked in, and I played all 3 sports until I figured out, which one was gonna help get my education paid for, or where I felt like I could excel at the next level.
Did you have a particular coach or teacher at North Pontotoc that really kind of pushed you along and influenced you along the way?
I probably have to say Coach Sutton and Coach Pettit. Coach Sutton was my high school basketball coach. Coach Sutton was my high school football coach, and Coach Pettit was my high school basketball coach. And, those guys, they always pushed me to be the best player I can be. There were times Coach Pettit, I'd be in the gym before school started, getting up shots in the gym, go shower, and then hurry off to class. Coach Sutton, he pushed me extra hard as far as football. He actually came and got me at the end of my 8th grade year. They had announced over the intercom. They said, if you're playing spring football, go get a physical form and meet at the field house. And all my classmates were like, Marcus, are you coming to play football? Are you coming to do this? And I was like, nah, I think I'm gonna stick to basketball. I walked to the gym for basketball practice, and Coach Sutton had the gator parked right in front of the gym door, as if to say, you're playing football no matter what. And I hopped on the gator with him. We circled around North Pontotoc's campus, and about 10 minutes later, I was trying on a helmet and shoulder pads, and I was like, yeah, he got me. And I knew he had got me, but by that time, I was like, I'll give it one more go round. And that's probably one of the best decisions I've ever made, was coming back to play football, because, I mean, look where I am now. So yeah. I can't complain about that. Around my junior year, once I realized, football may be my way out, every Friday after a high school game, Coach Sutton he'd be on huddle, or he'd be on his software that he used to, get the film out to coaches. And he'd walk by and he'd be like, what school you want me to send your game to? After every Friday game, what school, where we sending this film to? And he sent my film out to every school. Like I was getting feedback from schools I had never even heard of, but just the fact that schools knew who I was, then, I knew he was doing his part as far as helping me get recruited. Coach Lindsay, he's another coach I had when I was in high school. Him and Coach Sutton, they made sure I got to camps. They made sure, my film was sent in. If my mom was busy and I didn't have a ride to camp, I had nothing to worry about. My coaches made sure I got there, and, I can never thank them enough for helping me, get the exposure that I needed to get to where I wanted to go. Coaches really do a lot more than what people think behind the scenes. For one, during that season, you're asking a coach to pretty much leave his family for a couple of months out of the year to focus on a whole nother group of kids that aren't his, or that aren't even his family. And so that's a tough sacrifice. So I can applaud even the families, even the wives of the coaches that, that let them go and make that sacrifice. But coaches do a lot behind the scenes. They're the first one. They're at the field house or the facility before we are, and they're the last ones to leave. And they have to wash our jerseys after practice and do all this and get everything prepped for the next day in and day out. And then on Friday nights, you can have a game that's 2 hours away. The coaches have to get back from that game, wash the uniforms, get the film from the team you play the next week, study that, and have us ready to go by Monday after we just played on a Friday night. So a lot of people don't even know that's what happens, but coaches really make the major sacrifice just to help us get to the next level, or help us reach our goals academically or athletically. I can go to my high school coach's house right now and lay on his couch and just, play with his kids, or, just hang out. That's because, after I left, I stayed in touch, and, I still can go back to North Pontotoc and clown with the coaches. My high school football coach actually is now the principal at North Pontotoc High School. So, I always go back and see Coach Sutton. I go back to, a basketball game or a football game. So, I'm always still involved with North Pontotoc, and, the relationships I developed is the reason that I still go back and give back to North Pontotoc. So I went to ULM from 14 to 18. I graduated in 18, and then I played my 5th year in 2018. I actually redshirted in 2014, so I had 5 years to play 4 seasons. So that's how that I got there in 14 as a freshman, and I was gone by December of 2018. I was gone, and I went ahead to train for the draft. My degree was kinesiology, fitness and sports industry. Honestly, I want to be involved in sports as long as I can be. So whether I'm playing it, or I'm a trainer or a strength coach, or or a coach in general, I just, there's a lot of things to learn in the kinesiology field about injury, about the body in general. And it helps me today, with learning on, how to take care of my body and how to do certain things. The draft started on a Thursday. The draft was Thursday through Saturday. It started on a Thursday. I think it was just the first round. I kind of knew I wasn't getting drafted in the first round. So, I just watched a few of my friends that got drafted that year. I watched them, congratulated them. And that Friday was second and third round. I was kind of around my phone. Teams were kind of, texting me and calling me and seeing, how I felt about this or that. They were just staying in touch. I ended up not getting drafted that Friday. And Saturday was the last day of the draft, rounds 4 through 7. And we had already had a draft party planned at Buffalo Wild Wings, and we had already booked it. And it was it started at 4 o'clock, and about 2:30 or 3 o'clock rolled around, and my phone hadn't rang yet. And so I'm at home just pouting and mad, and my mom's getting the cake and everything together. She's like, I'm about to go up there, and I'm like I was just looking at her like, all right, whatever. Like I don't care at this point. Like, go do whatever you want to do. And she left the house, and she saw the frustration on my face, and she left the house, and she was headed to Buffalo Wild Wings. And she got there, and finally I left because I was watching the TV, and finally I had left, and I was like, whatever, I'll just go up here anyway. Like, it was honestly, I was embarrassed at that point leaving the house, and literally 2 minutes after I get on the road driving, my brother's in the car with me. I have my phone plugged up playing music, trying not to show my little brother I'm mad. And 2 minutes later, I got a call from Steve Sabo. He works in the front office of with the Atlanta Falcons. And he called me, and it was over speaker on my car. He said, Marcus, this is Steve Sabo, and he asked me if I was ready to be a Falcon. That was me and my brother just looked at each other, and we just started screaming. Like, I had to pull the car over because it was that's probably the best phone call I've ever received in my life. And by the time I got to Buffalo Wild Wings, it had ran across the TV that I had got drafted. So I walked into Buffalo Wild Wings, and I had over 150 people there in a line just waiting, and it was the best feeling ever. I'm glad I was drafted before I got there, because I don't think anyone would have wanted to see me if I would have gotten there and my name hadn't been called yet. It would have been sad. My mom had a cake, and it said happy draft day. Like, I'm just glad I got drafted. I was drafted April 28th, and I was on a plane to Atlanta by May 9th. Because my mom's birthday was the 8th. I remember celebrating her birthday, and then I had to be on a flight to Atlanta the very next day. So it's I don't even think, it's not even a full 2 weeks. You got time to celebrate and work out and stay in shape until you get there. And then when you get there, you hit the ground running. Like, as soon as you get there, you have a meeting, they tell you how things are going to go, and then you're a professional athlete right off the bat. So it was difficult at first, adjusting to things, just because of how we did things in college, which everybody has to adapt to, to their environment. Going from high school to college to now you're getting paid. You're a professional athlete. You're not a kid anymore. You're not being babied. Now you're your own responsibility. So, besides that and taking care of my family, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I got drafted on a Saturday. After that, we celebrated Saturday night, went to church Sunday, and then it's like that Monday after everything cleared, I just went into I can't even explain it. Like, it's like I was anxious about everything. I remember going to my mom's job, like, I was hiding from everyone. I hid from the world. Like, after I got drafted, it's like it hit me after that whole weekend went by. Like, I remember there was a time I went up to New Albany High School, at my mom's job and hid in her office because I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want to. I was just went in her room and I'd ball up in a blanket and just that's just I was just it hit me like my whole life was about to change. Going from high school and college, playing in front of maybe 10,000 people to 80,000, 90,000 in a full NFL stadium. Like I was just thinking about all of that, and I feel like it really had hit me. And by the time I had got there, though, I feel like all that went away, and I felt like I was supposed to be there, and I feel like that was my calling, to play sports and to help others and to be maybe the guide for some younger athletes that want to do the same thing that I'm doing right now, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, doesn't matter. My path from the draft to now, I got drafted by the Falcons. I went through OTAs, mini camp, training camp, and went through a preseason in Atlanta. Things didn't go the way I wanted them to or expected them to. The Falcons actually waived me after the preseason, and I left Atlanta. They released me on I think a Friday, and I didn't know what else to do. I drove back to ULM, and I wanted to be around my college friends, and so I didn't have to think about just being released, and I was embarrassed, didn't want to come back home, and I actually got to Monroe at ULM, and I was walking around where the tailgate area is, and I ran into Doug Peterson, who is the former coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, and I ran into him, and he already knew the news, and he shook my hand, and he said it's a tough business, and I was like, you're right, it's a tough business, and I went about my business and went to the ULM game, still on the sideline, and cheered my former teammates on. And that Sunday morning, I woke up. I had a call. It was coming in from Philadelphia, and my phone was ringing. And they just called and said, "Marcus, this is so and so, the Philadelphia Eagles. We're gonna sign you to the practice squad." And I was in Monroe, Louisiana at the time. They were like, "We got you a flight. Can you fly in today?" And I was like, I just need to drive from Monroe to Atlanta, which was 7 hours. I was like, I need to drive here and just pack a bag. And so they booked me a flight for Monday morning, like 5 o'clock in the morning. So I get back to Atlanta, my apartment in Atlanta, about 11 o'clock at night from Monroe. And I pack a bag, pack up as much as I can, because I'm about to leave all my belongings in Atlanta until someone comes and takes care of it. Left all my belongings and packed a bag, and I don't even think I went to sleep. I was so excited. And then a few hours later, I was on a flight to Philadelphia, and only thing I knew about Philadelphia was the city of brotherly love and Rocky Balboa. That's the only thing I knew about Philly. But I ended up falling in love with Philly, and I was there for a full season, my rookie year. I was able to come back home and do my off-season training, and I went back to Philly this past summer, and I was there until November, and I was released from Philadelphia this past November. So right now I'm just I'm just training, staying in shape, staying in contact with my agent, other teams. So if not NFL, then I'll probably go over to Canada. I have the opportunity to go over there. So, I just feel like it's all going to play out and everything's going to be all right. And the hardest thing is staying in shape on your own when you're not like with a team and you don't have scheduled workouts and doing this and that. Like I know guys who played professional, and then once they, were cut the first time, they veer way left and they start, doing things they shouldn't do, or not focused on workouts, and then they get out of shape, and then a team calls them to come and work out, and then you show up to the workout and you're out of shape and you don't look like the player that they thought you were. And that's where I feel like a lot of athletes, kind of not so much throw their career away, but that's where I feel like they don't take it serious enough to stay on the right track to, keep doing what you want to do rather than, get in trouble or, I feel like, you should just stick to it and work out and stay disciplined no matter what until you decide you just don't want to do it anymore.
You look at it as your job.
Right. It's your job. Whether you're signed or not, my job every day is to wake up and make sure, my body is right and make sure that I'm able to do the things that I want to do.
Well, when you talked about you went to a tailgate, ran into the guy, I mean, like, if you would have been looking kind of out of shape and pudgy,
right,
you might not have gotten that phone call the next day. You
don't
ever know.
I always, to this day, wonder, like, did he see me and he make a call and do this, or did he? I didn't even ask. I just showed up and I shook his hand. I saw him and we went to work. We didn't even ask each other. We didn't speak of seeing each other that past weekend. It wasn't planned or anything. Like, I just showed up and I was ready to work. My next career, I would probably get into coaching or training other athletes, whether it's basketball or football. I want to open up a training center in North Mississippi for younger kids. You don't really see that here a lot around here, like a training facility for basketball, football, baseball, all in one, like an all-purpose training center. Maybe get some guys that were former professional, baseball players or former professional basketball players, to join me and to just give jewels to the younger kids. I never had that growing up. The way I learned growing up was, to watch TV and to watch my favorite players and, steal their moves or do this, to get better. But now with technology and the way the generation is with sports now, like, trainers are everything. So, and I go to Dallas, Texas to train, but, I love Dallas, Texas. I love where I train, but I would love nothing more than to put a training facility in North Mississippi and draw people from Texas to come here, and to work out at my facility or, whatever I decide to do.
Imagine the 6-year-old Marcus who was playing upward basketball so competitively.
Right.
Like, what, having kids like that who are, like, want to win.
Right.
And want to be the best. And having a gym full of kids like that.
And every generation now is getting more talented and more talented. So, like, I would love to work with a 6-year-old me, someone who has the competitive drive, especially starting at a young age. I would love to work with a 6-year-old me that has, the same competitive drive, the will to win, and, just wants to be around the game because they love it. That's what I see where I train at in Dallas. I'll be doing a drill and I'll look over and there's a 6-year-old doing the same drill that I'm doing. I'm like, that's how I know the generation is advanced. Like, kids are just getting better and better, because when I was that age, I don't even know if I could do the things that they were doing. I would just show up and play a game, but, like, training as a kid, I didn't have that push to train and to stay in it. And I just wish I would have had that training, because, a lot of kids and me growing up, we just played off of natural God-given talent. Not saying now it's not God-given talent, but God-given talent plus a great trainer is A+ today in today's game. So I just, like I said my dream is to, put a training facility here and help the youth here, excel their game. So they don't have to go and travel all over the country to get the best training when you can get that same training here. My hobby, I like to play Xbox. I'll go fishing here and there. I wouldn't say I'm a great fisherman. Just being around family and friends. I'm real big family oriented. We do Sunday dinners every weekend, every Sunday after church. Our family will pile up and, like, my family all together in one setting is it should be a reality TV show. It's hilarious. We got the comedians. It's just funny, and all the kids running around, and I love being around my family, and they're just fun people to be around.
Who are your heroes?
Besides Dwayne Wade being my hero, that was one of my favorite athletes growing up. Probably my favorite of all time. But my heroes, I would have to go back to my grandfather, like I said earlier. Like, he's just a perfect example of how a man should live his life, and I follow in his footsteps. Maybe not right now, but I promise I'm taking notes. And I know exactly, from how he treats my grandmother to how he treats us as a family, how he is as a grandfather, a husband, a brother. He does everything the right way, and there's no better example that I could ask for.
Tell me about your merchandise that you have, and like in your I don't know what you would call it. I guess it's not really a nickname.
It's MAGV, the brand name. It's my initials, Marcus Antonio Green, and it's my mom's married name thrown at the end, because I was gonna change my last name to Green Vaughn. It was gonna be hyphenated, but my two older sisters, it's kind of like the only reason I haven't changed it. We all have the same last name, and I just feel like that's a bond with me and my sister, so I didn't change it. But I also wanted to let my stepdad know, like, hey, like, I got your last name somehow. So, I put it in a brand, and, I have my LLC, and, we sell the merchandise. It's actually magvofficial.com, and we have, shirts, hats, phone cases, any type of gear. And we're actually working on some new stuff for the spring, this upcoming spring. Just seeing anyone wearing my merchandise, it just makes me feel good on the inside, and let me know that people here support me.